we are talking to District 6 candidates, and in the house this morning, Mr. Matt Brown. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Great.
Good. No extra pressure, Matt, but you are my district, so this is personal.
That's right.
Oh,
that's
here we
right.
go.
So tell Dave.
Yes, and others. Our goal, of course, Matt, is just to kind of get to know you a little bit and kind of a thumbnail sketch of things. And in the event that you're one of the top two that move on, we'll have you back for more detail and the trick questions and all of that. But this is sort of the get to know who Matt Brown is and why he's doing this crazy thing of running for city council. So
Yeah, so tell us about who's Matt Brown.
Yeah, so I'm Matt, and I am a pastor and small business owner. I have owned Foresight Productions for the last 10 years. And
Foresight Productions.
Foresight.
Foresight Productions.
Yeah, for your site.
Yeah. Got
Productions,
it. Man.
yeah.
What do you do? What do you do?
So it's media production.
Oh, cool.
So we do events and DJing and all of that fun stuff. So that's what I've been doing. I have two wonderful kids that are 4 and 8. And
two that aren't wonderful. He's not mentioning them.
Yeah.
But,
nope, just two.
Just the two.
And I married my high school sweetheart.
Hey,
fun.
good for you.
So, yeah.
Pretty
That's
sweet.
awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, what do you with your business? Why did you decide to run for city council?
You know, this last year I've watched a lot of our small businesses get pretty much the raw end of government and getting forced to be shut down and closed. And for me, one of the biggest things is that there was very little, when I talk to business owners, I've talked to about 100 of them this last year, very little of them have actually had their city council members even just come and say, how are you doing? Not one, not a single one. That I talked to actually had a city council member. And so for me, running is a couple things. Like I mentioned, I have 2 kids, right? And I'm really want to build a better future for them in our town, but also for other families that have children that, this last year has been hard for them as well. And so I jumped in for that, but I also jumped in because, man, our businesses in town need someone who's going to advocate for them on a level that no one has.
And you can do that.
I can do that, yeah. I've already been doing that.
Yeah,
So-
that's right. You're knocking on doors, you're campaigning. What are you hearing? What are you hearing from folks in District 6?
Yeah, so, it's actually kind of funny. So I've been door knocking since January.
Wow.
And yesterday I posted that I've actually hit 500 miles of walking.
Wow, good for you.
Which is a lot of walking. I've shed
Yeah.
a few pounds in this last 6 months of doing this. But as I've been going out there and talking to people, the biggest thing that folks are frustrated with is there's no common sense in our city council anymore. The infrastructure, our roads are falling apart. They're sick and tired of that. We keep talking about trying to fix our roads, but they continue to be what they are. We all know it. Our cars need realignment all the time for the roads. And then the other piece is gang violence and homelessness. Homelessness is creeping further and further out into West Valley. And, as I work over here at Yakima Foursquare, we've started to see a huge uptick in homelessness, even on our own property. And so it is a real issue that District 6 voters are really concerned with. And gang violence as well. I mean, the stuff that's going on right now is, in my opinion, not going to get better without good leadership.
What's your first thought when you walk away from a home that says they're concerned about homelessness or violence? I mean, what do you have, like, hey, I got this, I'm going to do this, or I'd like to do that? What are the thoughts that run through your mind?
Yeah, they're big issues, right?
Yeah.
And they're big ones that everyone says they can solve, but no one seems to solve them. That's always my thought process as a problem solver guy that I am. I sit back and go, okay, what do I do here? How do I solve this issue? And for me, it's all about the people you surround yourself with, right? And how you can actually take in feedback and understand where the issues are. So for like gang violence, for example, I've never been in a gang. I don't know. I'm not a gang. I don't know anything about.
And explain that tattoo on your arm, man.
He's like, I don't have any tattoos.
I have no tattoos, Dave. So I've already started meeting with former gang members, though, in our town that are in this work to try to prevent gang violence. And I've met with them on multiple times and working with them to craft an actual comprehensive plan that is going to solve the problem. Because
Involving them.
Wow. Because again, I as a city council candidate can keep saying, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But again, I don't know that culture. And I'm not going to pretend to know that culture, but I am going to go request folks that I know very well that do know that culture and how to actually solve it. And what I have found is it starts with prevention. So, right now our city is not doing a ton in prevention, and they start targeting kids as early as 6 and 7 years old to join gangs. And in my opinion, from a city perspective, we need to be working with every form from parents to teachers, even local government, employees on how to spot kids that are getting targeted by gangs, how to see the signs, how to recognize them, and how to get those kids help. So, because we can stop them from joining the gang, we're stopping kids who are going to be gang members 10 years from now. So,
well, that's we can tell who you work for. Did former councilman member and Mayor Dave Edler play a inspiring, mentoring kind of role for you in this process, man?
He did. Dave has been, obviously I've worked for him for 14 years now. And, he has been a guiding mentor of mine for years. Very close friend and confidant in how I...
Quite a gentleman, isn't he?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yep.
Very smart, and has helped me as well, just think through all of the issues.
Well, he's
and problems.
big on leadership, and to hear you say that, and common sense and that sort of stuff. But here's the question. How do we infuse the council with common sense? And I guess one of the things that I'm leading up to is a question that we are asking people, because you bring your politics with you, even though it's a nonpartisan job. We have seen people in recent years bring new and decidedly Democrat policies, immigration, flights, and all sorts of different things, climate change, this or that or whatever, that aren't generally the purview of a local city council. And they bring it out of their own purview, not because there's been a hue and cry within their districts or the city for that. So I think given all of that, sometimes common sense is lacking when what you're talking about comes from your deep-rooted political philosophy as opposed to mine, and why that doesn't, it's a typical left-right argument in our country today. What you're saying makes absolutely no sense to me, vice versa. So how do you describe yourself politically, and then how do we find a way to work together past those things in a serve the city sort of perspective?
Yeah. So, when I announced, it's one of those things where people all know that I am the state committee man for the Republican Party. I don't know if you did know that, but I am a conservative that's running in this race. I've been very open with that. There's no sense in hiding it. I know a nonpartisan position, typically folks don't announce those things, but that has not been the case with me.
We're asking them so, and you're right. Yeah. You've been upfront with that from the get-go.
Yeah, and I've been upfront, and it's really because I believe that voters deserve to know. That has been the biggest disappointment in my mind in previous elections, is that, and why I think we're in issues that we're in right now, is that the citizens don't know who these people really are or what they stand for. And so as we go through that, I was like, no, that frustrated me as someone who votes, and I'm going to be up front. You like me or you don't. That's where it is.
We salute that. That's and agree that that's what it needs to be. That's why we're sort of asking that question of everyone, not just uniquely you. And should you be one of the top two vote getters in the 6th, when we have you back, we'll look into some more of those kinds of things that would generate the sort of transparency that voters deserve. They really do.
And to answer your question too about like working with others, I would gather this in ministry. I'm a pastor, right? I work with people that all think differently than I do.
Yeah.
On a constant basis.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can see that.
You know, on how to do this or how to do that. I mean, it's literally every day I'm working with people who think 100% differently than I do on issues. Some think like me, but not all of them.
Sure.
And so with that, you know, I'm the operations pastor at the church, right? So I'm overseeing all of the things that are going on at that place. And with that comes, I have to work with people who don't think like me. And that right now is one of the issues that I think our city council has. They don't know how to work together, and they don't know how to work for a common good for our citizens on things that actually matter, like roads, gang violence, homelessness. And the other piece of that is income tax. I do think that is an issue that, you know, other candidates around here want to paint this as a non-issue. It is an issue. When you're affecting people's livelihoods and their income, that is a safety concern in my mind, right? If you're taking money out of my paycheck that I no longer can pay for my food for my family, that hurts me. And so for me, being able to ban an income tax locally is crucial.
Has value. It sends a signal. It provides security, et cetera, et cetera. I feel you, dog, as we say on the street. Your pastorness. I feel you.
Your pastorness. When you're knocking on the doors, were you surprised at what people were saying? I mean, and I ask you that because I want to know what you think are the big issues here in the city. I mean, were they different from what the people were telling you?
Honestly, the other big issue, I mean, that I wasn't surprised with is that people are frustrated with the council that they just don't get stuff done. And what I mean that is, like, a lot of folks are just like, well, are you actually going to do something?
They say that?
Yeah, are you going to do something? Because I'm sick and tired. Council is just not doing anything. And so for me, I be real with them. You know, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I am a hard worker. I mean, I just told you, I've walked 500 miles. I've never walked 500 miles, Lance. You know?
I read about it once.
Right. There's a song, I think.
You have a Fitbit. You need a Fitbit, man.
Right. You know, I mean, I'm a hard worker and I outwork people. And that is when I say I get stuff done, I get stuff done. That is what I'm known for, to get stuff done. And that's what I tell folks. Like, you can go talk to people. They go, oh, yeah, Matt gets stuff done. You don't have to worry about that guy. So... anyway, so that's been the biggest thing for me, that they're frustrated. People are frustrated with what's been going on locally in our city. They're frustrated with local politics. They're frustrated with the drama that has been going on locally. And to me, that stems from bad leadership. That's a sign of bad leadership. And that's another reason why I'm running. I'm sick of the bad leadership. So,
any questions about a pastor with a particular point of view and boss? That about how that will impact your role serving a city? Has that come up at all?
Yeah, you know, that has actually. I've had a couple people ask me that about, you know, how would you separate church and state? And I said, well, you know, the Constitution does a pretty good job at separating those out. In my mind, it's about the voters and the Constitution. What are your rights? What are your rights as a citizen of this state and a citizen of this country? That means to me. Now, you know, there's all sorts of ideologies and political statements and movements that want to, you know, do that in city politics, like putting flags on buildings and doing all of those things. Yeah. That is not a place for city politics, in my opinion. You know, as we're looking at we are a United States local government. And we need to be showing that we are a United States local government and sticking to what our country is founded on. So, and to me, the pastor piece, yes, obviously I see through a lens that's different than others. My biblical values, my upbringing is different. But I still love people regardless. Yeah. That's what pastoring is.
That's what that lens guides you to do, right? All comers, as they say.
Exactly. And that's, you know, at our church, I mean, that's where we've been. You know, we accept you how you are. You come in, and it doesn't matter what you've done or where you're at.
Which brings me to a question. There's a big old sign outside the church for the Celebrate Recovery meetings, right?
I was just going to ask that myself.
Well, but here's the thing. Those of us who are faith-based, we see the success that takes place in people's lives on addictions and difficult problems. And as a community, we've got some difficult problems. Is there anything from the success of that world that can be applied on a grander scale to problems that the city has? I mean, because you got a small group of folks that are coming in and are making life-changing actions.
Right.
We need to have some city-changing actions. Is there a draw off of there?
Yeah, one of the ideas that I'm floating right now is actually, when elected, to sit with our local faith-based leaders and sit with them and say, hey, we have these big problems, gang, homelessness, drugs. How can you play a part in help solving these things? And then what do you need from a city perspective as support?
Sure.
How can we support you guys in your endeavors? One of those groups is Camp Hope. I've met with them already. I went down there. They get an interesting rap, but man, if you actually go and tour that place, they are doing really good work down there. They're killing it.
Yep.
And to the point of where, I didn't know what to expect when I went down there, and I was actually shocked by, wow, you guys are doing great work. And they have been stifled and stopped and threatened and all of these things. And I'm going, man, why? You guys are doing such good work. That shouldn't be the case. People, you need to tell your story better. And as a city,
I think it's a location. Just not enough people see it.
Right.
There's, where certain resources get applied that didn't go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, the politics and all of that gets drawn in there. But
that's right.
we're going to run out of time, and I could talk to you for a long time as a
me
District
too.
Sixer here. I've got a lot of questions, man. So let's do what we do with everybody and ask for that 45-second elevator pitch. Why should folks consider and vote for Matt Brown? We just talked to the other candidates. They seem pretty reasonable. Why you, my friend?
Yeah. So for me, what I would tell you is this: is that I care deeply about this community and what we've all gone through this last year. We've all experienced COVID. We've all experienced the stuff of COVID, between losing people, businesses, dreams, desires, and we need someone who's going to work hard and fight hard for the people of District 6, and that's me. I am the hardest worker in the room. I'm the guy that is going to push everything.
Clearly in this room, that's for sure.
I'm the guy who's going to fight for the people. I'm going to work every day for our small businesses. I'm going to work every day for the people in this district and getting stuff done. And that also means being a team player with the others on council and working with them, because you have to be able to do that and you have to be able to work together. So for me, if you want stuff to get done, that's my biggest selling point, is it will get done.